All hands on deck. That's how the president of Jefferson Parish describes the effort to make sure that all polling places have power tomorrow. Zeta impacted about 500 polling places throughout the southeast region. And as Tan Trung reports, local governments and utility companies are prioritizing the polling places when it comes to restoring power.
The pressure, stakes, and scrutiny in the presidential election are high enough, but southeast Louisiana is now dealing with a challenge that no other region of the country is seeing: restoring power to polling stations impacted by a hurricane.
You know, the disaster would have been to have people not being able to vote tomorrow.
Only a few local leaders can relate to what Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Sheng is doing.
We're keeping our emergency operations center open through voting to be able to quickly respond to any of those needs.
JP started the day with 20 of its 143 polling sites lacking power. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that number was 10. Any site not fully powered by tomorrow will run on portable generators, which will come with a set of eyes on them.
This is any site that has generator power. I've assigned a firefighter to manage that generator and have a communication channel throughout the parish so that any site that starts off with electricity and maybe something happens during the day, we're able to quickly respond.
Jefferson fire officials say one of these generator pods will be able to fully power one polling location.
Orleans Parish also prioritized getting power to its polls. With just hours before the election, the clerk of criminal court says of the 122 polling places in New Orleans, only 3 may have to run on generator power on election day.
Where you voted the last time you went to the polls, go back.
Some easy-to-follow instructions after one of the most challenging run-ups to Election Day. In southeast Louisiana, the phrase "power to the people" carries a lot of meaning in 2020. Tan Trung, Eyewitness News.
Orleans Clerk of Court, criminal court that is, Arthur Morrell says that only the polling location at Xavier University will move its voting machines to another building on campus. Morrell says there will be poll workers on site to direct people where to go.